Welcome to another episode of Dutch Guy's Garage. In this episode, we are going to be taking apart our 1980 Dodge Aspen RT. Oh shit, floor's on fire, everything's on fire. Oh, fuck. I'm sure it's fine.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. Life instead of everything you know that you can get. Don't let them guide your life towards a grave.
What do you say we get thrown out of an Applebee's?
Yeah! So, we are working on our 1980 Aspen RT. Our Aspen RT has been a loyal, faithful companion in our fleet for many years. I built it about 6, almost 7 years ago now, and it's time for a little bit of an upgrade. We were contemplating getting rid of it for a little while and kind of decided to make the further continued effort to keep it in the fleet because we're kind of bored with it. When you get a car so far, it becomes perfect, and this car is the epitome of perfect in my mind. It does burnouts, it does cruising, it does, you know, traffic, daily driver duty, everything you'd want from a car. It does it, everything and more. But it is a 1977 motorhome motor. Yes, we did the motorhome swap before motorhome swaps were cool. When we built this car, it was very budget-minded, and we'd like it to make it just a little bit faster than it was. The engine bay is kind of a disaster. Never was car show worthy, as some would say, but it was a good runner. So it's got a leaking rear main seal, and that's kind of the step to fix everything. It's not a bad leak, but it's, you know, it eats a quart of oil every 10,000 miles or so. So kind of needs to be addressed. So what we're going to be doing is the Piggy Bank Challenge, which just Mopar Joe and Tall John's Garage, those guys are doing stuff like that. So this is our contribution to the Piggy Bank Challenge. And we're going to be taking this 1977 360 from an RV and just souping it up a little bit to make the RT just a little bit faster than he was, make it a little bit more of a enjoyable car. Not that he isn't enjoyable now, but it's just some things we'd like to do to it that we've been putting off because the car just runs so well. You can literally go and beat on it and beat on it and beat on it, and the car just doesn't want to break. And usually that's when I do upgrades, is when I break something, like we've seen with our Dodge Aspen Super Coupe. We push it and push it and push it, we break something, and then we fix it. We give it something new and shiny. In this car, we push it and push it and push it, and it just doesn't want to break. It's almost irritating in a sense, but we're going to go ahead and pull the 360 out of the car, and the 904 is good. We have a reverse manual valve body 904, 2800 stall Hughes converter, and just, you know, low gear set. So it's got the A999 gear set in it, which is the wonderful thing about 904s is you can order a factory low gear set for it for half, or actually probably a quarter of the price of a 727, which is just wonderful. And so we have the transmission. We have a 355 Sure Grip rear end, which is actually an 8 1/4, which I'm hoping maybe we can someday break. I have not been able to break it yet. It's actually out of a, I think it was a Fifth Avenue or Diplomat cop car, probably a Diplomat cop car, but it is a factory 355 Sure Grip. And I just can't break the car. So we're going to give it a little more ponies under the hood to hopefully try and break that rear end. So let's pull the hood and get going. So as you guys can see, we are trying to do all this by ourselves like normal. So we've stacked some cushions so we can pull the hood. And as you can see, this motor, we cleaned this fender apron, but we never cleaned this fender apron. So there's horrible 80s used car lot undercoating everywhere. And when the younger Dutch wired this car, he decided to, you know, run the electric choke and all that stuff, and it wasn't quite up to par to today's Dutch. And we need to do some more, you know, cleanliness of wiring. There's a lot, or we have an electric choke wire that's red, and it's not in the wiring harness or anything like that, so we need to clean all that up. And you notice that the motor is red. A fun family thing that my family has always done is we've always painted our motors red, and we may stick to that, we may not. I haven't quite decided yet, but it was just something my family's always done. We've always painted our motors Chrysler red. It was just something we always did, and that was what we did. And I just don't like it. We switched this car from a Holly to an Edelbrock, so the fuel, I'm not happy with the fuel line. It's got an electric fuel pump, so we got a fuel pump regulator, and I think we're just going to get away from all that, go back to a mechanical fuel pump, and just try and tidy everything up. Again, this car runs perfectly, absolutely perfect. Maybe we'll even fire it up here in a minute, but it runs perfect. So we just want to go with a more aggressive cam, do support work, and just, it already runs a high 13 seconds in the quarter mile, and we just want to get it a little bit quicker, get it a little bit more aggressive. And again, the car runs so perfect, so it kind of sucks to do this, but at the same time, it's just time to clean all this up. I want to take this car to car shows and not be sad or not want to open the hood at car shows, because it's a very, very beautiful car. It's clean. That is factory paint. It is shiny. It is wonderful, and it needs to be kind of shown off. So let's go ahead and get the hood off and progress from there. Now, I wasn't going to show you guys this because nobody wants to see a grown man pull a hood, but this is what I love about the 1980 hood hinge design. Normally, you pull an F-body hood, you have your singular hinge and then your singular latch. As you can see, we have fully unbolted this hood, and it's happy. The hinges are up. It's kind of like the Dodge trucks there. The hinges are up, and you can just slowly just meander down and grab the whole thing and pull it off. Anyways, you guys can see we pulled the hood, and the absolute superiority of the 1980 hood design. It's so reminiscent of the Dodge hooks or Dodge trucks, just where it sticks up. We don't scratch anything, and we just easily pull that hood off. It's so much better than the 1976 through 1979 design, like we see on our Super Coupe and our wagon, and our 1977, whatever year that is. So we're going to get to undressing this whole motor and getting it ready to be pulled out. So torque converter bolts, yada 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 yada. About 75 things to check off on the list. So I'd like to get this motor out today. Alright, so we have our 1977, I think, 360 pulled out of our 1980 Aspen RT. And this car has always had a small header leak when it was cold. And I think that's pretty evident right here. It was leaking. So, you gotta remember, I built this car almost 7 years ago. And that was younger, dumber me, and cheaper me. Still cheap, but not quite this cheap. But I always used to double up the old crush gaskets. And as you can see with this one, it is pretty evident. Well, that didn't work. And she leaked. So, younger, slightly more intelligent me is going to use Remflex gaskets and maybe check the flanges. I actually found these headers on the ground in the junkyard, and they were like half full of mud, and they were next to an A-body, so we assumed that they're A-body, and they fit like an A-body, so we'll just assume they're A-body. But those have definitely They're definitely straight. You definitely can tell that they're not crooked at all. So Remflex will definitely fix all of that. Hopefully, maybe. We won't worry about it. We'll paint those, and they're going to be perfect. Because that's, you know, paint fixes everything. Rust-Oleum restoration. And so, also younger and dumber me forgot that this fancy Edelbrock Performer that we have on here that was jet coated, you don't do any clearance checks on those to make sure your valve covers, you know, don't hit. And it's very evident in this area, and I'm sure in the back area, and also in this area, that the valve covers are hitting. So the valve covers were leaking, which we've always dealt with that. And as you can see, it's always just kind of just a little bit of oil. And so in fixing the rear main seal, we're also gonna, you know, fix the valve cover gasket issue, so we no longer have the greasy, grimy, dirty engine bay. So if it's not leaking, we're gonna have to check the oil more. But again, this was built by younger, dumber, and cheaper me. So damn good motor though. I think this is the best running 360 I've ever had out of any 360 or 318. This thing just gives and gives and gives and gives. Just red line, just it just loves it. That's where it wants to live happy. So, you know, this was an RV motor that never probably seen a lot of love. Supposedly it had like 30,000 miles when I first got it, and it was perfect inside. So anyway, so what we're gonna do, I never did freeze plugs on this motor, and I'm kind of maybe thinking about it since we have it out and I want to take it out again. I don't know. These freeze plugs were perfect. There's not really any corrosion to them, but you know how freeze plugs rot out from the inside out. So my luck, I'm gonna have, if I keep them, they're gonna start leaking in freaking 2 months anyway. So I'm thinking maybe some new freeze plugs, and probably not painting the aluminum water pump and timing cover, because that never works out for anybody. So maybe we'll just polish them. Looks like also leaked out of the center here on those headers as well, so I'm sure that's fine. So we'll grab some brake clean and clean it before we go in for the night, because that's what you do. Brake cleanage. Oh, this is, there we go. Dual wheeled. Much more efficient doing it this way. Oh yeah. Definitely don't put a drip pan on the floor. You wouldn't want to do that. You don't have a big sticky mess. Well, this can suffered a terrible fate. It has the nozzle broke off, so you definitely, we're just gonna give her the old try. Oh, oh yeah, that works great. Perfect. Oh. Yep, that's fine. Well, let's conclude that episode of Dutch Guy's Garage. I have a significant amount of degreaser in my eye. So, see you guys in the next one. We're gonna put a cam and valve springs in this thing and make her more rowdy. So, see ya. And always remember, they don't move until you do.